point, I think it's pretty safe to say that in terms of our core members in this session being able to distinguish between a minor and major misbehavior or respond to a minor or major misbehavior, they're not exactly where we want them to be based on the objectives of this session. I think it was also pretty clear that there were definitely some things that Brent did that were contributing to them not getting to that outcome. And so at this point, as a school director, and I can say I've done this, I know myself in the past, I might want to say, okay, I need to fix this. But before we figure out what to fix, we actually have to think about why this is happening so that we know most specifically what to work on with the staff member. So it can be very easy, and I want to just kind of caution everyone, whether you're a CC or an SD or CMAC, to say, okay, I see that there's a problem, like they're not meeting outcomes, the staff member's not contributing, let me jump in and fix it. But we really have to take the time to figure out what is it specifically that we need to fix for this staff member, or that we need to help the staff member development. So we have to figure out what is it that this staff member doesn't know, isn't able to do, or doesn't believe that's leading them to take the actions that they are taking during the session, and then leading our core members to not being successful in being able to respond to minor misbehavior. So we have to grapple with what that is. So that's what we're going to do for about the next 10 minutes, You're going to take about 3 minutes on your own to think about what are those things that my CS might not know, might not be able to do, or might not believe that's leading to this. And then you're going to talk about it in whole groups. I know this can kind of be like a broad or general statement, so I'm going to give you an example of something that I'm thinking in my head that might be an issue that Brent is facing. So one thing I noticed was, though he mentioned that he was doing a check for understanding, I wasn't really sure that he was actually checking for understanding. Like, I couldn't really tell that he knew what core members did and didn't know, and then how he was going to use that information to actually adjust his session. So some things that I'm thinking about checking for understanding are, one, does Brent actually know what core members are supposed to know at that point in the session? Like, can he actually articulate, right now my core members should be telling me X. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe he doesn't know what the vision for the session is. Another thing I'm thinking is, maybe he actually doesn't know how to check for understanding with adults, in this way. Like, he's a great teacher, and I know he does it in his classroom, but maybe he actually just doesn't have, like, a good kind of bag of tricks when it comes to checking understanding for adults. So that's like another thing that I'm thinking. And then the last thing that I'm thinking is, maybe actually Brent doesn't believe that checking for understanding is actually something you do with adults. Like, maybe he doesn't actually believe that he has to do that, that maybe he actually just thinks, like, they're going to get it because they're adults and we're going to keep moving on. And each of those problems I would kind of target in a very, very different way, depending on what the issue was. So here we're not going to come to kind of a right answer of what it is, but what we should start to be doing is kind of brainstorming what are kind of the challenges that Brent's facing, and then what are the things that he either doesn't know, isn't able to do, or doesn't believe that are leading him to have those challenges. So you're going to do that in box number 3, like I said, for about 3 minutes on your own, and then you're going to talk in table groups for about 7 minutes about that issue. All right, go ahead and get started.